Thanks for joining us. I'm Noreen Turyn. I'm here live on the campus of Virginia Tech, where we are marking a very somber anniversary all weekend long. April 16th, 2007 is a date that anyone associated here with this campus, anyone in our region for that matter, will never forget. The day a gunman came onto this campus and took 32 lives. We have team coverage tonight looking back on that day and looking forward to how this campus has grown and healed in the last 10 years. This date, this massacre, still stands as the worst school shooting in U.S. history, with 32 people killed. 5 years later, a gunman killed 27 people at Sandy Hook Elementary School in Connecticut. The other most notable school shooting in U.S. history at Columbine High School in 1999 left 13 dead and 21 injured.
It's still so fresh, and I mean, we're still trying to I don't know if we'll ever understand the ramifications of all this.
That is a Virginia Tech student the day after the shootings, talking about the impact on what happened on this campus that day. 10 years since that tragic day, there are several new security measures that campuses, both here on this campus and across the country, have put into place to keep the campus community safe. And ABC 13's Chris Hoffman joins us now live. My co-anchor at the time, Len Stevens, got called in earlier that day and sent immediately here to the campus of Virginia Tech. I sat down and talked to him about his memories of April 16th. 33 people are dead after what's being called the biggest shooting rampage in U.S. history.
My role then was as field anchor.
Len Stevens has a vivid memory of that horrible day 10 years ago. Len Stevens joins us now. Len, you've been at the press conferences today where they tried to have some of these answers.
Yeah, and not only questions here, Noreen, but from some of the parents who were talking about this downright anger.
And we played this snippet of a woman, a mother, who had driven, I think, many hours to get to Virginia Tech to hug her child and make sure that her child was okay. And I remember she was livid. She was livid at the university's administration for not doing more to protect the students.
This university needs to answer. Why wasn't there sirens? Why couldn't they alert these kids?
Initially, police thought they already had their suspect in custody for the first shootings in the dorm.
So they thought there was no more threat. As it turned out, of course, there was a very large threat, and Sung-Wi Jo actually left the campus and then came back. He mailed his manifesto, and then that's when the real tragic situation, all loss of life is tragic, but that's when the Norris Hall situation happened.
Information was changing rapidly. First, it was 2 students, then 10. Then at the next press conference,
the chief of police looked over and said, "Do you want to answer that?" And he said, "It's more than 20." And you could hear an audible gasp in the room.
Until finally word 32 had been killed at the hands of Sung-Wi Jo.
They're like barricaded against the door like this, like real down low with like tables and like everything there.
But then came numerous stories of courage and heroism.
I'm trying to remember the name. Was it Librescu, who had survived a Nazi concentration camp as a Jew, and his class was threatened, and he gave his life to protect his students.
As trying a day it was for the parents, school officials, and police, Len says it took its toll on reporters as well.
I was standing next to another person reporting live who broke down on the air.
And after he ended that night, he says he was finally able to release his emotions as well.
This community has been wounded very, very deeply. It's going to take a very long time to get over it. I'm Len Stevens reporting live in Blacksburg. Thank you for watching the Night Team.
And I've got to tell you, being here on campus is honestly stirring up some pretty raw emotions for me as well. Len, by the way, is now the director of external communications here at Liberty University.
I definitely think somebody put their hand over top of this basement and saved us.
Stories of survival and heartbreak. A year ago, this community in Appomattox County saw a very rare February tornado destroy their homes. Tonight, we look back and forward to see how the recovery process is going.
It makes you feel good, and I like to think if we were ever put in the circumstance these people are, then they do the same for us.
Team coverage of the tornado 1 year later continues right now on ABC 13 News at 6. Thank you for joining us for our special live coverage on the anniversary of the Appomattox tornado 1 year ago tomorrow. I'm Noreen, Turyn, live in Evergreen, the area that saw the most damage from this storm.
In our Lynchburg studio, I'll be catching you up on the other news of the day.
We also have Katie Brooke live in Appomattox. She spoke to the widow of the one person who died in the storm. And later on, we're going to have Marissa Parra join me here. Let's take a look at the damage that this storm did. It hit 1 year ago tomorrow, as I said, February 24th. That EF3 storm killed one person and injured several others. At least 100 structures had damage in a 13-mile stretch along Route 460 and here in Evergreen. Gleaning for the World, as you know, headed up the efforts for fundraising and getting supplies to the many people affected by this. FEMA denied the Commonwealth's request for funding for the families here, but this community is strong and is making it through. Those who have lost their homes now have hope. The county had more than 300 total cases of damage in one form or another. Now those who had no insurance or who were underinsured, the rebuilding is in full swing. Since April, the long-term recovery group tells me they have had 76 volunteer groups with 969 registered volunteers putting in more than 16,000 hours, volunteer hours of work here in this community. And right now there are still 16 open cases of families who still need help. The county just got approved a nearly $880,000 grant, community development block grant. And so that is going to be used to help those 16 families rebuild. One man, as I said, lost his life when the tornado blew through this house. It threw him more than 400 yards away from his home. ABC 13's Katie Brooke is standing at the spot where authorities found 78-year-old Keith Harris after close to 8 hours of searching. Katie?
Bought this dog back in December to celebrate how far they've come since that tornado hit. A big sign of recovery.
Yeah, there's so much resilience in the members of this community. It's great to see. All right, we're going to head back now to the studio and George Flickinger to explain a little bit about how this tornado could cause so much damage. George? All right, George, and I am here at Evergreen Baptist Church where you can see a lot of people outside. There are many, many more gathered inside right now for fellowship as they commemorate the 1 year anniversary of the tornado. I want to give you a few quick facts about the recovery efforts. The Appomattox Long-Term Recovery Group tells me they have so far given furniture to 11 families. They've done at least 35 debris removals, removed stumps from 63 places, and they say they assisted anywhere from 30 to 50 homes with repair or rebuild in some form or fashion. Though tonight they are inside, as I mentioned, celebrating their resilience as a community. And if you want to come on over here, Valencia Jones has been inside the fellowship portion of tonight's event. I got a little peek in there myself. There's a very good crowd sitting down and eating dinner. Tell me what you were in there for about an hour right now so far.
Yes, we got there about actually right when it all started. And I tell you what, this is a true testament to what community means.
See, that's great. I know you're going to go back inside, hear some stories, and there is a service that starts at 7 for the community to come together and help heal. Thank you, Valencia. And a reminder that you can get any of our Appomattox coverage stories anytime on our ABC 13 News app. You could just download it to your phone if you don't have it already. And we're going to be back later with more on this Appomattox tornado anniversary. But right now, let's head it back to Mark Spain. They are in the air, and so we will have our camera ready when he gets overhead and touches down. This procession here at Liberty University has been going on for an hour so far. And I believe we have about an hour longer to go because the commencement ceremony itself was set to start at 10 o'clock. The VIPs, I believe, are on the other side of the pool camera. If you want to pan over really quickly, I can explain a little bit where the center cameras are there. That is the pool camera. NBC News got the pool, and they will be feeding it to all the networks. No matter where the president is, the networks follow. There is, of course, the White House pool, media pool. And so wherever the president speaks, it's a big to-do for the media as well. So they are the pool camera in the center, as well as Liberty University's own cameras set up to do their own production here. They've quite the video production department here at Liberty University.
Noreen, we begin with you. What is the energy like there tonight?
Well, right now the energy is a whole lot of media because nobody else is in here but media, and we can pan over. You see the large amount of media here. I feel like the media is going to take up more room in this small space than the party supporters may take up. They come in at around 7:30, but I do have one very big party supporter with me right now. Governor McAuliffe is here to cheer on the Northam campaign and all the candidates on the state ticket. And Governor, going into tonight, how do you feel so far?
Well, we're very encouraged by the early numbers.
Oh my goodness, wait just a second. This could be someone I know. Should I answer it? I don't know about you, but I have had just about enough of this. I'm talking about those annoying calls that you get that they look like they're from local numbers, but they're not. Well, it's called spoofing. And when I posted it on my Facebook page, my frustration with this practice, it just opened up the floodgates. You can see all the comments I got so frustrated with this practice. So I went to the FCC to ask them face to face what they're doing about it. Some of you have asked us for an update after my water testing report found fecal coliform bacteria at the spray ground at Lynchburg's Riverside Park. My report last month led Lynchburg Parks and Rec to install a larger chlorinator there, something they had been considering. I got to look at the new system today. It is larger than the old one, and the chlorine test today showed the chlorine level was well above the minimum requirement.
So the system's designed originally for 50 to 80 bathers, but this is a very popular place to come and hang out during the summer, especially when it becomes really hot. And so the old one was designed with those old specs in mind. And so now that we have a lot more people here, we want to make sure that, that we're keeping up with that kind of bather load.
I also took another water sample there yesterday and got the results today. It showed 0 bacteria, a clean bill of health. Now, despite the new chlorinator, Trevor Freitas there still urges parents to make sure if your children are in diapers that they are wearing plastic pants. And if any of you have been sick, he says don't go in the water for 48 hours after you're better for the safety of everyone else. The Lynchburg fire chief is looking back at his more than 4 decades with the department. We first told you yesterday that Chief Brad Ferguson is retiring at the end of the year. Ferguson says he has seen dramatic changes over the years, going from rubber gear to upgraded technology. He says he remembers a time when firemen only put out fires. Now, medical emergencies are 90% of what they do. Ferguson says the decision is bittersweet and says he knows he couldn't stay forever. Ferguson says he'll turn 65 in December, and that's long enough. The Danville Museum of Fine Arts and History is commemorating the death of a historical figure. The museum says Major Sutherland was the most important businessman in Danville in the middle of the 19th century. He lived in the home that is now the Danville Museum of History and Fine Art. Every other year, they commemorate Major Sutherland's death by putting black curtains on all the mirrors, dimming the lighting, and showing what the mourning process was like in the late 1800s. The exhibit includes traditional mourning garb and jewelry. Danville's newest mode of transportation is now operational. The main line trolley is trucking all along the streets of Danville right now. ABC 13's Karen Pinto is along for the ride, one of the first rides. She joins us live now from that trolley. Karen, you've been seeing the city?
That is right, Noreen.
In case you haven't heard, you have 2 chances to get really rich this weekend.
Yeah, it's going to happen. ABC 13's Will Stafford is live tonight with why you really want to buy your tickets in the next few hours.
That's right, guys. You want to buy them in the next 2 hours?
Love the bullpen dance-offs. That's great. I mean, when you're sitting around doing nothing, you got to wait out a rain delay. Why not have some fun?
Yeah, we would never have an opportunity to do anything like that because we're always doing something.
I would do it every commercial, Craig. Don't try to fool them.
Oh, if they only knew what we did.
George has a look ahead to the weekend when we come back.